right, welcome back. Okay, so this video is going to be about using targets to be able to move up levels significantly. And I'm going to tell a couple of stories. I'm going to tell one story about a player and then, a little bit about my own development. Sometimes people get mad when I tell a story about something I'm interested in me, but that's okay. I accept you. Now, one quick note, in case I look or seem a little grumpy, it's because last week I gave up coffee. So I'm in the throes of getting over coffee. In fact, I'm about to start crying right now. Anyway, don't do that. So anyway, let's tell this story and get off this thing before I go nuts. Anyway, so getting off coffee has been a really interesting journey. I slowly got down to 1 cup a day, and then last Wednesday, done. I'm having a little bit of caffeinated tea. But anyway, the stories, here we go. So basically, the number one thing that's going to differentiate between a brand new player and somebody who's going to start playing at the 3.0 level and above is going to be their ability to hit targets. So they're going to have to be able to hit some serves to the forehand and some serve to the backhand and alternate those. And they're going to have to be able to hit some places on the court. And, you get 2-3-0 level players together and one of them's hitting with more depth. The one who's hitting deeper is going to win. I mean, it's pretty simple because they're going to win the field position battle. All right. So I'm going to talk about this player, Aaron, who's one of my favorite stories ever because Aaron was on my team. I was the only coach, and I had 40 players on my team. So my varsity was doing quite well, but I've got this very large JV team and then a whole bunch of extra players, even beyond junior varsity. So it's a lot to manage. It's really hard to give all of your attention to these kids. And Aaron played pretty high on JV, which also meant that his matches were going on while there were some live varsity matches also happening. So that's a recipe for being ignored. So Aaron came and joined the team as a sophomore. He did not play as a freshman. And he pretty much picked up the game very quickly, just with some self-made strokes and the stuff that I taught him in just a couple of weeks' time. So anyway, we're about mid-season of his sophomore year, and finally we're at a match where he's like front and center right in front of me, so I'm paying much more than a passing interest in his match. And there was something I noticed, is that even though his strokes were sort of stiff and mechanical and there was nothing pretty about the way he hit the ball, I noticed two things. One, he was able to hit the ball to spots on the court, and two, he had some intentionality about it. So, so he was thinking along those lines. Now, later I discovered that he was a point guard. He played a lot of point guard in organized basketball. Why does that make a difference? Because a point guard is the point of attack against a basketball defense, and it's about getting people to, it's about creating openings. You fake one way so that you can go the other way. You fake a pass one way so that you can make an opening for a pass the other way. All those kinds of things. So he understood that the things that you do create stuff that your opponent has to defend. So he would hit the ball over here, and then he'd hit it over here, and he'd hit it over there, and over there. So he's moving the ball all over the court. And I'm like, you know what? This kid's pretty smart. So as a sophomore, he was, one of the JV singles players, because basically we have in Northern California at that time, we had 4 singles and 3 doubles of varsity and 4 singles and 3 doubles of junior varsity. Later, we made the top positions doubles because in JV, because that's what they were going to go to the next year. Anyway, so then Aaron was working on his game, and he improved significantly. And the next year, he moved into varsity and became a number 2 doubles player. So it was that during that point that he got really good at hitting serves down the tee and making first volleys between people. And that was a really big step up for him. So he became really a stalwart in doubles with his ability to hit targets on the court. Nothing flashy, just great placements. And as he started, I mean, he was maybe a 3.0 when he was playing JV. And now as a junior, then he became, I think, more of a 3.5. He was a very solid little doubles player. In fact, I could take him as my partner, and we could beat our number 1 doubles team, no problem. And then sometimes we could also beat some of the varsity singles players with him as my partner. But at that time, I was one of the top 5-0s in Northern California, so I could carry him pretty well. Anyway, so a funny thing happened. The next year, the next summer, we had 2 18 and under junior tennis teams. And so I was thinking about making them both about equal so that they could square off with each other. But then I had a better idea, and that was to have an A team and a B team, and the A team would be loaded with all of our top talent so that they could compete in the league. And then our B team was going to be probably the cellar dweller, but they were going to get amazing experiences to play all these other kids. So I went to Aaron and I asked him if he would be willing to be the number 1 player on the B team. And he said, fine. He said, sure. And so, that's a really good attitude. And I said, you're going to get beat a lot, but you're going to get to play all these number 1 players from other clubs. So he went along with that. And what we did is we set it up. The one thing that I started to notice about Aaron's singles game was that he had a decent first serve. He didn't, for a left-handed player, he didn't hit with a lot of spin, but we got him to hit a little bit of a slice serve, but it wasn't like most lefties that you would expect. They're going to have the big can opener and it's going to pull people out wide. So he could rally decently with people, but he really needed to be able to finish points. So the thing that was great about Aaron was he could hit an approach shot into a really small area, and his volleys weren't great. If he could hit an approach shot into that small area, about 5 feet by 5 feet in the corner, and make one volley, he could finish a point often, very many times. So that was his objective for the summer, was to get a short ball, come to the net, and finish. So in his senior year, he ended up playing number 2 on the team after all that experience. So he moved from number 2 doubles to number 2 singles on a team that also won the championship. And he went 15-1. So unfortunately, the one that he lost was in the final match of a match that meant that we did not go on to the playoffs because another team tied us and they won the tiebreaker. But that's another story. But even so, he went 15-1, amazing season. And then we started to get a vision for the fact that he could go on and go play some college tennis. So in the next summer, then we started to do this. We started to make his target for his approach shot smaller. So now it was going to be a 3 foot by 3 foot square in the corner, which he could hit. He could hit that thing with great regularity. So he just had this laser control. And then also, then we trained him on being able to handle a really tough first passing shot and hit a 2-shot combination. So now we wanted to make sure that going into college tennis, where he was going to be playing people who could get over there and hit that first passing shot and make it a good one, that he could hit a two-shot volley combination to win the point. So he learned how to do that. And so now here's the decision making that comes with that, because now, now he's gone from being a weaker 3-0 as a sophomore to being a 3-5 as a junior to being a really solid 4.0 as a senior. But now in the summer of his senior year, he's becoming a 4.5 or higher. And later he would actually be better than me. I was starting to get a little bit older, but a couple of years later, when he's like 20, I could barely stay on the court with him. So, and the reason was because we slowly built these things in here. We didn't have crazy expectations that he was going to become John McEnroe overnight. But we played to his strengths, and he wasn't going to be at the baseline and slugging it out with people from the baseline and overpowering people. That wasn't going to happen. He didn't have that ability, but he had the ability to hit targets. And so one of the things that happens is you go from 4.0 to 4.5 and you start and higher, and you start playing people who had good passing shots, is there's some decision making that happens. So the first thing that happens is you have to decide quickly if you're going to go for a winner or not on your volley. And at the first moment that you realize, okay, I'm not in position to hit a winning volley, you need to make that next volley another down the line shot. So it's like a second approach shot, because you don't want to go for a winner and then leave an opening and get past if you're not in position. If you just float your volley up, they're going to come forward and boom, you've got an opening on the other side of you. But if you direct that ball, deep along the line and keep them pushed back, and then also direct them back over into the corner, now for the next ball, you've got the opening again. Hopefully it doesn't take 3 volleys to make that happen, but it could. So he got really good at that, and then went on and played some college tennis for 2 years before then getting a little too serious with his academics. But how often do you hear about that? How often do you hear about a kid who starts not even as a freshman in high school to start to play tennis, and then they go from a 3.0 to a 3.5 to a 4.0 to a 4.5 and then a strong 5.0 in the matter of about 4 years? You don't hear about that much. And so this is something that ties together the tennis 201 to the tennis 301, because as you go along, your targets are going to have to get better and better, and you're going to have to vary the way that you approach them. You're also going to have to be smarter about the way you attack, because you can't just come running in on nothing. You have to earn your way to the net, and you also have to make good decisions about, is this a ball to hit a winner on, or is this a ball to maintain my offensive advantage? Because if you go for a winner on a ball that you're not in position to hit a winner for, then you give up the offensive advantage to the other player. And these are some of the subtleties of why, unfortunately, some people say you can't come to the net anymore. And I'm like, no, that's not true. You can come to the net. You can come to the net all you want, right? But you have to earn it. You have to earn your way to the net. You can't just run in there on a bluff, and that's pretty much always been true. So anyway, so that's the story of Aaron and his ability to hit targets. I'm going to skip the story about, I'm just going to say one thing about matches that I was playing, because on any particular day, I might be trying to hit some approach shots, and I realize, okay, that ball was 2 feet out long. Oh no, or I missed the ball a foot wide. So I'm not going to instantly get discouraged, but I'm going to make a mental note. Okay, bring that ball in the court. So I've got to aim, 3 more feet to the left. And, on that other one, I've got to bring that ball, 2 feet shorter. So it's inside the court. Don't go for lines. Going for lines is a bad idea. But if on any given day I just feel like I'm squirting them a little bit wide a little bit, then I know I've got to come forward with my racket a little bit more. So I just pay attention closely to my contact point until I can start making that shot. Because you don't give up on it just because you hit 1, 2, or 3 errors. What you do is you adjust your contact point so that you're not making those errors. And different things can affect that. I mean, sometimes it's the slope of the court, sometimes it's the wind, sometimes it's the spin that your opponent hits. There could be a lot of different things that affect how the direction of your ball. So anyway, I will leave it there, and go ahead and use your social digital currency. Press like, subscribe, and share if you like this video. And now I'm on my way over. I got a rainy day today. I'm on my way over to the coffee shop, and I'm going to be doing more formatting for the print version of Tennis Strategy 101. And then as soon as that's published, then I will go into editing mode for Tennis Strategy 201. But 201 and 301 are also being written at the same time. So I hope to have Tennis Strategy 201 ready to go by April 7th. So a little quicker turnaround this time. But I'm going to set that as April 7th, and that should be pretty challenging. If I miss it by a day or two, that'll be okay. But a lot of the work that went into 101 is going to pay off on 201 because a lot of the formatting has already been established. I've already learned some of the tricks that I need to do with that. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.